Aaron Rodgers maybe isn't coming back. Maybe he is coming back, but he wants to drag this out even longer. The supposed meeting never happened, and so now we're wondering where Aaron Rodgers is. The Steelers are planning on not having him, but they're hopeful he comes back. Maybe at some point they decide to move on. Hard to say what's going on there. Josh Allen, we're going to talk more about Josh Allen. Herbert to the mother freaking moon. Even though,
to the moon,
nothing's really changed. Just because Njoku's on the roster, you're getting production out of Njoku or you're getting out of Gadsden. Doesn't really matter, but it's going to remind people that he's going to have a big year. People will start talking about him. Makes it easy to bring something up and cook up maybe some new perspectives that should have already been in place anyway. Herbert's going to the top 5 quarterback moon territory. Josh Allen is by far and away the best quarterback in fantasy, and I'm bringing Josh Allen up today as a reminder that just because quarterbacks are going to be good later on in the draft doesn't mean you just start thinking and regurgitating, thinking about the later round quarterback. It makes sense because a lot of good quarterbacks out there. Do you want a good quarterback or do you want the best quarterback? And sometimes you don't need Josh Allen. Sometimes, Bucky's sitting there. And you're like, I was going to take Josh Allen, but I want to take Bucky. Or even higher, Mike Evans. Or let's say you want to go Buka. You're like, I'll take Herbert. All those things make sense, but we need to continuously smash the point home that Josh Allen in the 3rd round wins leagues. It doesn't matter how good other quarterbacks are. It can be advantageous to go 100 different directions. Coleman, Josh Allen, Gadsden, Njoku, Aaron Rodgers, whole bunch more. And any $20 super chats today, a little bit of a discount. You know how you can put your name on any video, any $100 super chat, you put your name on a video all year long, your name gets blasted with the video. $20 special on the new Quadruple J and Consultants video. The competing crew, the competing business with Triple H and Associates. I give you Quadruple J and Consultants.
Quadruple J and Consultants.
Did you make a mess on the field? Don't fret. Call the cleanup crew. Call Quadruple J and Consultants.
Locations on Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Jam. Call HHH and Associates.
Triple H and Associates. Locations on Earth and Jupiter.
Triple H and E Associates. Yeah, Harold Fannin Jr. slipped into the firm. Has the qualifying Harold H, ability, and he's taken over the spot on the far right. This doesn't mean that Harvey, you can see peeping down at the bottom, isn't interested in regaining his glory, but because Coleman has become such a rising star over at Quadruple J and Consultants.
Quadruple J and Consultants.
Did you make a mess on the field? Don't fret. Call the cleanup crew. Call Quadruple J and Consultants.
Locations on Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter.
It's definitely been upsetting for the Harvey family to see Coleman rise up within his own family, take over a prominent role, competing role against Harvey. But those are the Consultants and Associates. As we talked about earlier, Aaron Rodgers is a no-show, essentially, or you could say it's not all on him. It could have been on the Steelers. So it's not really Aaron Rodgers' fault per se, but the fact that we aren't hearing he's back is probably on him more than anything if we assume things. ESPN reporting that the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers meeting over the weekend did not appear to have come to fruition. And it's, again, an assumption to say it's Aaron Rodgers' fault, but the guy just takes so long dragging his feet. I don't even know how people, and I defend Aaron Rodgers for a lot of things, his free speech and the way he's kind of his own person, but it does get tiresome, even for somebody that supports Aaron Rodgers in many ways and loves Aaron Rodgers for many ways, to see him continuously just drag this stuff out over and over and over. I mean, it's just respectful. Stafford, everybody makes this known early. Like Stafford, there was very, very, very little doubt that Stafford was not going to return to the Rams in 2026. But there was, it was a conversation piece. It was, when do we find out the official? And that happened right away. Aaron Rodgers, does he really expect a team to go through a draft not knowing, go through an rookie camp not knowing, going through early OTAs or whatever? Like, what's this guy really think? It's insane. But the problem is the Steelers are better with him than without him. McCarthy is 100% wanting Aaron Rodgers commanding his offense, and it's got the best shot at succeeding. So he kind of holds all the cards, and it just makes for a kind of a distasteful avenue of decision-making consistently, year in and year out. But Aaron Rodgers, I expect him to return, but, things are always going to be, capable of going in a different direction, especially if we don't know something, like he's going through something or his body isn't as well off as we thought at this point. This report here, there's tons of reports. This one in particular, just thought I'd show a couple of these. Buffalo will host the Lions at the Bills' new stadium on Thursday Night Football in Week 2. There's all kinds of little tidbits of the schedule being released, and people trying to piecemeal the whole thing together. Schedule release will be very, very soon, and we'll be of course breaking down all of that. Schedule release is when is the schedule getting released? Isn't it on the 14th? Which is, 14th. So we're just a few days away. So the 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern, that is the time that this show launches. So we'll probably do a Thursday night, this Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. When this show starts, we'll be doing a schedule release party. And we'll be breaking down the schedule, looking at things, taking a look at week 1. We'll take a look at everything, all the Thursday games, all the Sunday games, and that all gets released up until 8 p.m. Gets trickled out. We get the whole Sunday night schedule list. We get the whole, so it's kind of an ordeal. So we'll go live. We'll do the schedule release party on that Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I might go live like 5-10 minutes late just to make sure I have it all compiled and ready to go. And we'll break down week 1 probably in week 17. Week 17, 16, 15, because those are the underdog promo code Smitty. Use the link that's in the description and the link I'm about to drop in the live chat. But ladies and gentlemen, the most important time in best ball, here's that link right there. I'll pin it in the live chat. The best time is schedule release day for best ball in many ways, because you end up being able to really kind of understand what time it is, obviously with your bye weeks and everything, but also when it comes to scheduling your week 16 or 15, 16, 17 matchups, trying to get those stacks where it's team stacks versus game stacks. Which one do you like better? I'm more of a game stack guy, meaning I'd rather have Josh Allen and Jamar Chase than have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Not always, but it's very, very advantageous to have this shootout going back and forth as well. So there's two different kinds of stacks. People that lead best ball and say, oh, you didn't have enough stacks. Like, you can have game stacks. Game stacks are sometimes even better and more lucrative, in my opinion. So let's break down this. Oh, we got this. For those that missed the earlier live stream, real quickly, David Njoku signs a 1-year, up to $8 million deal with the Chargers, which kind of puts Gadsden in a little bit of a bind, puts Gadsden owners in a little bit of a bind, puts underdog promo code Smitty, Gadsden drafters in a little bit of a bind if they didn't necessarily back him up properly. And I did that myself in several drafts. I did a lot of drafts where I have Gadsden and I have Likely and I have a bunch of good tight end options that can rotate through. Gadsden sometimes was my 2, and I drafted Harold Fannin or Warren. But in drafts where I did draft Gadsden and went light backing him up, those are the things that affect you. But at the end of the day, I'm not disliking Gadsden at his probably new 2-round or 3-round later ADP that is coming down the stream. You could get him in the 12th or 13th round probably. I don't even know if he'll fall further than that. But you cuff Gadsden and Njoku together in a best ball underdog promo code Smitty draft, and you have optimal scoring. You could essentially draft just Njoku and Gadsden and go with a player on the bye week. You could just say, screw it, I'll throw the bye week to the wind. Or in weekly winners, where all you're trying to do is smash every single week individually with no carryover from one week to the next. There's no playoffs. Week 14 is the same as week 1. Week 17 is no different than week 10. And it's like a clean slate every week, just who scores the most points each week. That is a great format to have Njoku and Gadsden, and they're going to be so cheap because they'll drag each other down because no one will want really either one. I love Gadsden. I think Gadsden's a monster, and I think Njoku, often injured 29-year-old tight end that doesn't scare me that much. I would definitely love to cuff him. If I could go back in retrospect on any Gadsden-built, tight end-built team, I would love to have Njoku cuffed to him. I'm not going to lie, but I will moving forward. And I'll definitely draft the duo so much more than I drafted before Gadsden, because now I can cuff it in such a convenient way in best ball. Underdog is different. Best ball is different than non-best ball. Might be harder to get this right week in and week out in a home league, a non-best ball league, your grandma league, because you might not know who the best tight end is for a while. It might rotate. It might not, but it's certainly something that could be a little bit messy, but it doesn't mean I won't draft Gadsden and redraft upcoming as a second tight end. And it doesn't mean I won't grab Gadsden in Dynasty, cuff him to Njoku in a Dynasty startup and feel, pretty comfortable in long-term fashion that I got Gadsden a whole lot cheaper. So that's that news in a nutshell. Coleman, as we've said over and over and over.
Quadruple J and Consultants.
Did you make a mess on the field? Don't fret. Call the cleanup crew. Call Quadruple J and Consultants.
Locations on Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter.
Again, any $20 haulers, discount today. Get on that screen and you'll see it all year long if you want to be a part of that. Quadruple J and Associates. This is quite a crew, and Coleman's going to be one of the big, leading candidates of MVP each and every week when we looked at that board and we come in to circle up and clap it out and say, who's the one from the Quadruple J, which is really Quintuple J and Associates, because you see Genty sitting here. Here's HHH.
Associates.
Triple H and Associates.
Quadruple J and Consultants.
Did you make a
Quintuple.
mess on the field? Don't fret. Call the cleanup crew.
Jay Coleman's going to be part of the cleanup crew. He's going to be the guy that you're down 15 points. You got the Broncos on Monday night. He's got nobody. You've got Coleman. Coleman goes in and cleans it up. He's part of the cleanup crew. Love the cleanup crew. Those Quadruple J's, and including Genty, Quintuple. What a fantastic core. What a fantastic group. Those guys will carry you. Just make sure you're drafting them appropriately. Make sure you're drafting Jonah Coleman in the right spot. Jonah Coleman is a player that we pump up all the time, but you got to make sure you're not taking him too far away from his ADP because he's not the starter yet. You have to understand that when people come out of their draft and they think, oh, I've got my running back 2 locked, you don't. You might eventually. That's the prediction. That's why we do what we do. This is why we're here. We're not here to go, show me when it happens. When Coleman is a running back 1, then I'll buy in. Well, good luck getting him. Good luck participating. Are you going to buy Coleman as a running back 1 later? Or are you going to grab him at a discount, the kind of price tag that won't even hurt you, really? I mean, he's going at, let me see what his underdog ADP is right now. He's going at such a bargain territory. I'm talking like he's not your running back 3 in many cases. He's your running back 4. I've got him as my running back 5. So when someone goes out there, we do a draft together, and one of you reaching Rodgers grabs Coleman in the 4th or 5th round, thinking, I got to get him, or someone's going to snipe me. You're only ruining your own team. You're literally flushing that $5 entry down the toilet. And that's not to say that, and this is a guy I love, but it could take 6 months. I hope it doesn't. But you could. You don't know, so you got to prepare for that. Jonah Coleman price is going at 57 overall, which is a fantastic value. I see some of you taking price at 40 and 39 overall. You're not listening to Smitty. You're hearing him, but you're not listening to him. Like, this is not a crew that's full of running back 1s yet. This is a
Quadruple J and Consultants.
Did you make a mess on the field? Don't fret. Call the cleanup crew. Call Quadruple J and Consultants.
Locations on Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter.
Look, this crew is, look at it real quick. Landman dropped, one reason I just play that again is Landman just dropped a $20 super chat to get on the Quadruple J and Associates. He's canceling the maintenance fees at the home, the gardener. He's getting it all taken care of himself so he can get his Quadruple J and Associates on. So far, Landman and Romario and Hammer are on this board right here. And Landman Super Chat says, Smitty, Landman here, I'm all in on the quadruple J, especially Coleman. But look at this crew right here. You have Coleman on the far right. You have Price on the far left. Neither is a starter. Neither is a starter. Jordan Tyson hasn't got his feet under him yet. This is a sleeper crew, the cleanup crew, but they're in waiting. They're in training. They haven't even passed the bar yet. They are not ready for prime time quite yet. You go out and you draft Price at 38 overall because Smitty says he's going to the moon. You're making yourself look bad, not me. And when you come in here later, start crying and complaining because it takes 5 weeks for Price to get going, which I don't think will be the case. But if it did, I think he's going to get thrown in. But Coleman could take time. Tyson could take time. Jeremiah Love probably won't. Obviously, Genty's just sitting over there overseeing everything as the sophomore. But this is some of your own faults. You're not listening to what I'm saying. This is a sleeping giant monster. He does not deserve to be a 4th or 3rd round pick yet. And Jadarian Price, you know how much I love him. But this guy goes often in the 6th round, bottom of 5. That is the highest you should be reaching for him. Why? Not because he can't get there. Not because I don't believe in him. Because there's something called cost of entry. There's something called market value. And if you're taking them in the 3rd round because you want to be first, because you hear Smitty talk about him, and we do a draft tonight on Underdog, promo code Smitty, 1 or 2 of you are going to take this man at the top of 4. You just can't wait. You sit there and you go, but what if somebody else gets him? I'm going to snipe him early. You're throwing your money down the drain because it could take a little time. It might not be all roses and white doves and silver ladies. It might be a little bit of time before this thing starts panning out. But I can tell you one thing. As a quadruple J, quintuple J, and associate, Price is ready when he's ready, and when he's ready, he's going to ball. And Coleman will be ready when he's ready, and when he's ready, he will ball. We don't know when. I can't know when. But he's a monster in disguise. A switch will get flipped, and Coleman will turn into the Chupacabra. Coleman will be a nightmare for league mates. A nightmare for skills he's acquired over a long career. Skills that make him an absolute terror for your league mates. That time will come, but you don't know when. His pass protection is better than anybody on the roster. His coach, Sean Payton, says he's the best pass protector in the entire draft class. His time will come, but you have to be completely and utterly patient and not screw this up and overindulge on an ADP that he doesn't have. Coleman to the moon. Coleman to the moon.
To the moon.
All right, let me hit these super chats. We've got, again, Hammer in the building, Landman in the building, Aldi in the building over on the Rumble. Appreciate you. Simi Valley over on the building. Simi Valley dropped a $20 super chat at the end. I don't know if he dropped it when the show, I already hit the button or what. But Simi Valley already giving last night on the Dynasty channel an extension for tonight's show, which will be about Ted McMillan. So 15-minute show automatically tonight on the Dynasty channel about Ted McMillan. That will be a little bit after midnight Eastern. All right, let's hit these other super chats. We got a couple here on the YouTube side of the fence. We got BBQ in here. BBQ straight savage. Appreciate BBQ. BBQ to the moon. I smell meatloaf. Hey, mama, meatloaf. Boy, BBQ. BBQ says the following. Where did that go? What screen did I put that on? When you draft players higher than their ADP, they become buy low trade candidates. Let me just highlight BBQ's name here. Whenever I do a copy and paste deal, it totally screws with it. Okay, there we go. BBQ says, okay, same as buying stock, IPO at high price because of FOMO. The fear of missing out is truly the one identifying factor, the correlation piece between the guy that has a team when he walks out of his draft and it looks like somebody just took his second rounder away and not. That's the difference. So if you want to be the forgetful Freddy and go draft Jonah Coleman in the 4th round because you've got fear of missing out, or you're going to take Jadarian Price at 35 overall because you heard Smitty say he's amazing, then you're going to march in here in week 2 or 3 and go, the quadruple J is closed for business. Oh, I guess Smitty was wrong again on a player. Oh, Smitty, I thought Jadarian Price was going to be a top 5 running back and it's week 2. Or, Smitty, I guess Jonah Coleman is as good as you thought. I should have never drafted him. Where'd you draft him, Steve? Well, at 45 overall, where'd you take Jadarian Price, Steve? 33 overall, but you said he was going to be good. It's unbelievable. I see it every year. Every year. Dynasty 1 QB PPR. Would you trade Neighbors for Chase Brown and Pickens? I would take Chase Brown and Pickens in a heartbeat for Neighbors, and I love Neighbors. That's a boatload, bro. That's absolutely crazy. Am I crazy for wanting to keep Neighbors? Well, it's not crazy to want to keep Neighbors, but you need to grab the combo because Pickens can hang with Neighbors by himself, bro. I'm not saying he's better. I'd definitely draft Neighbors over Pickens, but Neighbors is a little bit of an injury concern until he's not. I'm not saying he won't shake that, but Pickens could carry this trade. If, let's say, Chase Brown gets abducted safely by aliens and never returned, you could still hang. Your Pickens for Neighbors is not go wasted. You lose maybe a little bit, maybe not, but you still are in the trade. Like the argument here, you have Pickens get abducted by aliens safely and never returns. Now Chase Brown versus Neighbors, you're still in it. Like you still have an argument to make here, bro. You got 2 pieces. That's the beautiful. I'll have a Smitty trade negotiation video here soon. But one thing you'll hear me say in this video and whenever I talk about trades is whenever you do a 1 for 2 trade, usually I'm giving up 2 for 1. It's called smoke and mirrors. You're trying to disguise, gift wrap 2 players and say, hey buddy, give me your Neighbors. I'll give you these 2 players. Want a third? And it's called quantity over quality. And in my trade calculator, I have a quality over quantity safeguard mechanism that when you try and run a trade through the trade calculator and it trips it up like this, for example, and it's not to say that it won't still approve it, but when you try to do an Amon-Ra St. Brown in London for Jahmyr Gibbs, it asks you right here, quality over quantity check, rerun the tool. We advise you to rerun the tool and consider some factors on this smoke and mirrors technique. But in this particular case, why I screenshotted this case is because even when you rerun it, it does still like it, but it wanted to double check it. It adds it, changes the value, makes it a lot closer and says instead of winning by, what was this right here? Instead of winning by 27% using smoke and mirrors, the trade calculator says, we must use a roster balance logic to insert, and it's a different equation and experience every time you run it. It says, let's balance the scale a little bit. Okay, still like it, 13% terms of value. Doesn't mean you should make the trade necessarily. What you could do to ultimately make sure it's good for your team is you could put your entire lineup on this side and your entire lineup on this side before and after trade and compare your 2 lineups. And then it will tell you without hesitation what side is better. But this trade calculator, everything on TheFantasyFootballShow.com is just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But my point being that in my trade negotiation tactics in the video that you're going to see soon, when I do a 1-player divide and conquer, take Neighbors, divide them into 2 players. We call that divide and conquer around here. You're dividing to conquer. And you should get a player, you should get 2 players that in their own right could handle being in the trade alone. Not saying you aren't losing the trade. You know, not saying you shouldn't still do the trade like in the London and St. Brown example. Like you need that one's different. Cuz each one of those players can hang with Gibbs in a sense, right? If let's say St. Brown were to go down, London could you definitely want Gibbs. But London can kind of make it to where you're not putting your head in the sand and going, I just lost. You know, you got something, right? And the same thing on the other side. Whenever you do a trade, you're trading Neighbors away. Do both pieces have the capability of single-handedly holding the trade down? Even if you lose it, you're still close, yes. So that's why you do that trade in a heartbeat. Smitty, what teams can you see firing their head coaches in the offseason? We went through this the other night. We went through a whole gauntlet of it, so make sure you watch. I think it was last night's show. Might have been 8 p.m. But, you know, we talked about this in tremendous detail. But in a nutshell, I mean, I think, you're going to see the Jets fire their coach. Mike McDaniel could become like a coach for the New York Jets. We might have talked about this morning, actually, on the 3 a.m. Njoku show. I think that's where we talked about it. We could see that happen. I could definitely see, Houston being a couple of years. If they don't turn things around, they're not going to fire. They might fire their offensive coordinator, so that will be one change out, but it won't be head coach. But offensive coordinator opening in Houston next year. Who knows if Vrabel has to take a leave or how that ends up happening. And if there's an interim step up, you might see like a Miami might go to New England next season. Those are just a couple that come to mind. I don't think Joe Brady's getting fired. No, I don't think, Nagy will be fired as the OC, I believe. And then it's just kind of like, I don't know. It depends on how some things go. But those would be the only things I bring up OCs because those are still important. But we'll see. We'll see. Appreciate you, my boy. Thanks for the super chat. All right. The super chats have been handled in order in which they've been received. Thank you again, Landman, over on the Rumble side of the fence. And we will open phone lines here in a second. Herbert, just to touch on this real quickly, and then we talked about Gasson. I think we got everything. Josh Allen. We'll talk a little bit about Josh Allen again, even though I touched on it in the beginning. Herbert's going to the moon. Herbert is already going to the moon. Like, Njoku doesn't do anything. It's a little bit of a bump, right? If they run 2 tight end sets and they're a little bit more dangerous around the goal line, and let's say Herbert throws 2 more touchdowns on the year because of this move, maybe. So I'm not saying it doesn't help. And it certainly secures the position up if they don't go double tight ends and you're just like getting backup support or rotation. I mean, look, Herbert got another weapon. That's always good. Herbert was always going to the moon. And I think the only negative thing about Njoku, and I don't think Njoku will move the needle too much for people, but it gets people talking about Herbert. So I venture to say you're going to see a lot of like, Herbert could be a steal this year because people get reminded to talk about it. And so Herbert's value probably will climb a little bit, but I still think he'll be a tremendous steal in that, 70, 80 plus territory where you're getting, after Drake May goes, Herbert is one of the next quarterbacks that you would want to keep an eye on, but he usually goes like more than a round and a half, 2 rounds beyond that 70 overall on underdog. Home leagues, he might go a little higher, but Herbert is definitely capable of, in hindsight, being QB2, 3, 4, or 5 overall. And people are going to, I think, strongly look back on this offseason and go, man, I regret not taking Herbert in more leagues.
He'll punch you in the throat. Herbert is the GOAT. He'll punch you in the throat.
Herbert, a guy we've liked since his rookie year, has really been he's been kind of a non-factor at times, and that's really hard to say. And you start to become a Herbert apologist when you continue to say, let me tell you why. It's like when someone calls into the phone line and says, Smitty, I made a bad trade, but let me explain why. I don't care why. As soon as you say that, I know you made a mistake. You don't need to hear why. That's just your excuse. Like, Herbert, we keep making excuses, but guess what? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because I truly believe that it's all coming together now. And you could say this too. I don't mean this in a way that's coming across, but if Ben Johnson can make Jared Goff amazing, and Mike McDaniel can make Tua look better than he was, if you can put an offense and a system in place to make a good player great, what about a player that's had a lot of bad luck? Yeah, he hasn't stepped up, but he's shown lots of promise in spurts. Even his rookie year, he's phenomenal. But you put him in a system, you almost have to say to yourself, like, even if I didn't love Herbert as much as the average bear, the system's going to make him. Goff with Ben Johnson was a top 5 and 6 QB sometimes. Sam Darnold plays way above his pay grade because of the receiver, JSN, that he has, because of what Kubiak was able to do for him. And that doesn't change anything. Darnold played amazing in Minnesota because they propped him up, but it doesn't matter. Brock Purdy's great in San Francisco. You can't separate situation from player. And now this man's situation is Miami Mike McDaniel, now Malibu Mike. And so even if you don't love Herbert as much as other quarterbacks, his situation may should vault him up into a territory where, at least if you're being honest with yourself, you don't like Herbert, you could say, I don't love Herbert, but damn, he's going to probably have a top 4 or 5 quarterback season. People are going to reflect back and wish they had more shares of Herbert. This is not to say that drafting Josh Allen is still the best quarterback approach in fantasy football 2026. I don't care how many good quarterbacks there are. I don't care if Joe Burrow or Drake May fall far. This is a man that could throw literally with DJ Moore on roster. He could throw for 35, 34, 36, 33 touchdowns, run in another 10, 12, or 14. If he throws for 33, he might run 14 in. If he throws for 35, he might run 11 in. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's a 40-plus total touchdown season for Josh Allen, mixed with 600 rushing yards, roughly, mixed with what will probably be his biggest yardage season he's had in a long time. Joe Brady's amazing when it comes to having weapons and deploying a arsenal, a absolute, just aerial attack. And you might say, well, Smitty, that's not the way, because he hasn't had that in Buffalo. This is the man that made DJ Moore in Carolina, Brady, have his best year he's ever had. This is a man, Joe Brady, that wanted DJ Moore, not other wide receivers, didn't want A.J. Brown, didn't want anybody. He wanted DJ Moore specifically because he made DJ Moore into a monster, Joe Brady, in Carolina. And Joe Brady's also the guy that had the Jamar Chase, JJ, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Joe Burrow breakout campaign at LSU, where they're all scoring 15-plus touchdowns together in the same season. JJ, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow scoring 15-plus touchdowns each. Joe Burrow throwing for 7,000 touchdowns that year. And Joe Brady gets no credit for that. He was the architect of said system. And now Joe Brady's in Buffalo, been making it work for years. Well, years, yeah. Loosely use the word years. And now he gets handed DJ Moore. So, what do you think's going to happen? He's going to throw the ball. What do you think's going to happen to Josh Allen? He's going to throw the ball better than he has in years. What do you think is going to happen to the Bills? They're going to live in the red zone, live at and around the goal line. His rushing touchdowns probably won't even take a dip, but his quarterback prowess, his ability to throw downfield, his ability to score passing touchdowns, all of it increases. Josh Allen from the 3rd round, he should be going at the end of 1. I'm not saying to take him there. Some of you that take Josh Allen in round 1 aren't listening to what I'm saying. You never take a quarterback in round 1 in a 1 QB system. I know that happened in one of our leagues. I forget who did it. You guys can remind, or actually I don't want to know. I forget who did it. But 1 quarterback leagues, you can't take Josh Allen in round 1 or you're leaving meat on the bone. You can recover from it, but it's not a wise choice. When I say Josh Allen deserves to go in 1, do you buy Apple stock at $500 a share when it's $200 because you think it will be $500? No. Do you buy a $500,000 house for $1 million because you think it'll be worth 1.2 later? No. Do you go to the candy store and buy a granola bar or a Nestle's Crunch bar for $7 when it's $2.50 because you think it's good? Or someday, maybe when I'm old and decrepit, it'll be worth $8, Smitty. No, you do not. But what I'm trying to suggest to you is that you're getting 1-2 turn value for Josh Allen in round 3. You're winning a league. You're winning a league if he delivers anything close to what I'm projecting. As long as you draft relatively well, and that's subjective. But Josh Allen is going to explode in 2026. Josh Allen is deserving of being a 3rd round pick without any hesitation in your mind. The only thing that steps in the way of that is if a player falls in round 3 that you just think is better value when you consider adding Joe Burrow or Drake May or JD5 or Jalen Hurts or Justin Herbert later mixed with that. It's an apples to apples comparison. I explain this every day. I have to explain it every day. I'll have to continue to explain it every day. It's just the nature of this topic. People have been brainwashed for years to think that going early quarterback is a disadvantage. I can't help them with that. When you're looking at a Nico and a Burrow or JD5, that makes more sense than a Josh Allen and a BTJ or a wide receiver right here. That's why you go early wide receiver, or you go late quarterback, is when the board falls that way. But if you've got a late third round pick and Nico's not in the cards, then Josh Allen's the player that is the best player available. You're looking at a Ted McMillan or a Josh Allen. Then it's Josh Allen all day. It's apples to apples comparison. If anybody doesn't understand that, it's not that they don't know ball. It's just they've been brainwashed into thinking the general one-dimensional concept of late quarterback drafting is great because there's value later. There's value everywhere. There's value at wide receiver later. BTJ, DK Metcalf, there's value here. If you're drafting a quarterback here, you're not getting a DK Metcalf. If you're drafting a quarterback here, you're not grabbing a BTJ here. So it is an apples to apples comparison. It's, do you want Josh Allen and BTJ, or do you want Caleb and Ted McMillan? Like, that's when you have to make the decision. People that say, oh, there's a lot of value. That's brainwashed. I'm not saying no ball. I'm not saying you don't know ball, but it's a brainwashed, one-dimensional line of thinking that you've heard somewhere, you've taken it into your own, you're gift wrapping it as your own, and you're saying there's a lot of value late at quarterback. If you want to call into my phone line, I'll dunk all over you all day long on the early quarterback is bad. Not that late quarterback is bad. Again, you might not be hearing me. I draft late quarterback all the time. I just explained it. If I've got Josh Allen and a BTJ, or Josh Allen and a DK Metcalf versus Caleb and a Ted McMillan, I'm crushing you with Josh Allen and DK Metcalf. Crushing you. If I've got Nico here and Burrow, and I was to go Josh Allen and wide receiver, the Burrow and Nico could beat out the Josh Allen and other receiver. It matters who's there. It matters who's on the board. That's just, it's an easy concept, but people struggle with it because they don't understand it. I don't know what it is. There's another photo here of Diana Rossini and Vrabel that dropped, and so there's been a little bit more chatter along those lines today. Here's another situation. New York Post dropped this. This is Diana Rossini and her husband on Mother's Day. A lot of people in the comments were going crazy on this, saying, well, I guess this guy doesn't deserve our support, because people were really upset that he's not more mad at her, or whatever the case may be. And someone's going to say, none of our business, whatever. You can say whatever you want, but it's still hitting news everywhere. And that's affecting the decision-making of this organization to decide whether they need to move on or not. Is the distraction going to remain at a high level? Anytime something drops, it hits the front page, so to speak. Anytime something drops, is in the meme world like crazy times 100 on overdrive. Anytime something comes out and it's been slow trickling, whoever is behind this, the PI or whoever hired the PI, I don't know if it's the hoodie that might be behind all this in New England, a little revenge game. I have no idea. No one knows, but it's going to continue to be dropping and trickling out. And we're just going to have to see what happens in the coming days and weeks and months. And I truly believe that you do need to move on personally if you're New England. I do believe that, look, Vrabel, he's going to have to make a comeback. He's going to have to do a little comeback tour, but if he wants any shot at repairing his family, he's not going to be able to. His family will not. He's choosing his job over his family. And I know that's hard to say, like, he, as far as I know and everybody else knows, he's well off. It's not like this would be hurting him in the pocketbook necessarily. So he's well off. If he wants to choose his job over his family, that's his business. But I don't think his family can survive. I don't think his relationship would survive the onslaught of dripping out information constantly. And it's only going to get worse. If people think people are going to quiet down about this later on, they won't. They won't, because once we get into football, you have to understand something. Right now, there's about a 1/10 or 2/10 of the football population even checking in. Right now, we've got 143 people in the live stream. during August, we'll have 750 to 1,500 live viewers in every show because we get hopping up here in this mug.
I smell meatloaf. Hey, Ma, the meatloaf.
Which I'm extremely grateful for. But that just on grand scale, using big math, that's how many more people are here. How many more people check in later? How many more people comment later? How many more people extrapolate a conversation or an infographic or a tweet from the New York Post later? It's probably, I don't know, I would say like 8 or 9, 10 times the amount of volume across the entire industry on every level of this thing. No one's paying attention right now but you guys, the diehards, the people that are here every day, day in and day out. This isn't just fantasy football to you. This show might be your daily fix, and for that, I appreciate every
Let
single
him
thing.
cook.
The strictly football people that are just doing this, they ask their wife for permission to do the 2 or 3 leagues a year. Those people check in when they're allowed. You check in because you control your own destiny, and this is what you enjoy to consume every single day. That is 1/10 of the NFL fantasy football viewing population. So just understand that you think this is dying down. It's not. It's not. 80%, 90% of everybody isn't even here yet. So this is going to get bad, and what can you say? Don't really feel like ripping on that man right there because he's gone through a lot. And we don't know the details of his, what he's been enduring. He's trying to put on a strong face, maybe for his kids. We have no idea, so we can't really judge him too much. I don't know that I'm going to bat for him that much. But it doesn't mean I'm going to rip on him either. But I'm not going to go to bat for him when he's literally leaving himself in this situation. I mean, this is so bad. This is so bad. And someone could say none of our business. Again, I've already addressed that. I'm not going to continue to address that with people that don't understand the relevance of the situation, that it's not a big deal. It doesn't affect football. I don't have time to explain to you why it affects football. I don't have time to explain to you that it doesn't even matter, because what matters is that he's distracted. He's not his best version of himself. And that's not a good thing for this team. Having to step away to do emergency counseling on day 3 of the NFL draft and missing 8 of the 11 selections. All this is a completely unnecessary distraction for the team, and it's unfair to the players. And eventually what I predicted will probably happen, where he walks up to the podium and he says, I am stepping down or taking some time, which will be stepping down, and so-and-so's taken over, whether it's Williams or whether it's, who knows? Who knows how that happens? But I'm stepping down, taking some time for my family because my family needs me. And it's too big of a distraction. So I will not be here. And it's not fair. This is probably the words you're going to hear is it's not fair. Purple John, phone lines aren't open yet. I'll tell you in a second. You can call in. It's not fair to my family. And I need to give my family my full, undivided, 100% attention. And that's probably how it's, and the team deserves, or Drake May deserves, the team deserves not to have my distraction, the bed that I made, have everybody else be impacted by that. And they are. And it is what it is. That's what's going to eventually happen. Don't believe me? I've called this to a T the entire way. 100%. Even down to the boat. Even though I said it would be restaurant reservations. But literally the next day after I predicted, the next thing we'll hear is some intern or somebody has information on that they met on Wednesdays, every other Friday, every other Saturday, whatever, to go to this restaurant or do this, simple, endeavor, this little meetup. And sure enough, next day, the boat rental and all that stuff came out. We've called this to a T. We've called this to a T. Let's see here. We got any Rumble rants? We do not. We do have a couple of super chats over on the YouTube side. Again, anybody that drops a $20 super chat today is going to get on that video, the quadruple J, or you can get on the Manungai one too. Dynasty League guy wants to unload Gibbs. Analyzer says third in contending without him. Analyzer says I'm third in contending. The Analyzer. Are you talking about my trade calculator? He's interested in price scat, and a 27 first for Gibbs. Well, my question would be, do you like losing or winning, Ryder? If you like winning, take Gibbs for price, scat, and a 27 first rounder. Even if you told me, Smitty, that's the 1.1, Jeremiah Smith, I'm still taking Gibbs over Price, Scat, and Jeremiah Smith. Odds are, if you get Gibbs, that first rounder is not going to be Jeremiah Smith. It's going to be, in fact, far the opposite. You are getting a steal that I would be worried about your league vetoing. That's how much of a steal. And take a lap for asking and not knowing that, but also take a victory lap for crushing your trade. Take a victory lap for crushing your trade. That was an unbelievable trade. I hope that ends up going through for you. BBQ, does the signing of Njoku say more about the wide receiver room, or does it give Magic Mike another way to attack the middle of the field? Herbie going to smash. I don't think it says anything negative about the wide receiver room. I think that he's got a lot of weapons. I mean, we know that the wide receiver room is pretty good. That's a pretty good wide receiver room. Lab McConkey, QJ's not bad for it too, especially when you got Gadsden, Hampton, and all those pass catchers. And then you still got Harris. You still got Lambert, Smith. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty. I don't think it says anything about it. I think that it is just a smart move, honestly. Maybe Gadsden's got some nagging injuries that we don't know about or something. That's also something that it makes, Njoku a must cuff because of the unknowns, the reasons behind doing this. But if I'm the head coach of a team, why would I not, if I had money to spend, why would I not take a chance on a player? I guess I wouldn't have paid him as much. So maybe it wouldn't have got done if he commanded that and sat out or something. But that's a lot of money. It's incentive based though. Let's see if the Njoku contract actually. Let me see if I can get the details of that, because $8 million if he hits incentives, and he might not even hit those. So it looks like the deal is this might make it even make way more sense because I don't even have the details yet. It looks like it's I don't see the details of the 1-year deal yet. But I'm very interested in knowing what the guaranteed amount is. If it's like $3 million or $4 million, that's normal. And honestly, it's not that, why wouldn't you make that move? I think if you're paying him a guaranteed 8, if he makes 8, that means he earned it. So you're okay with it. But as long as it's like a $3 or $4 million and then there's incentives, at least $3 million or $2 million of it in incentives, I think you're fine. And it doesn't speak to anything, but that's the way all teams should be. They should all be preparing for the worst. They should all never leave an elite player out there. Why Deebo Samuel is out there still when you're the Miami Dolphins? Why Diggs is out there still if you're the Miami Dolphins? It's beyond me. How Debo's struggling to find a home is beyond me. Debo had a really good year, and most everything fell apart. Not that he's going to have a bunch of years left, but most things fell apart over there because, there was injuries, and JD5 went down. So I think people are reading a little too deep into thinking that this means that Gadsden, people are putting RIP Gadsden in the chat constantly. That's a little bit presumptuous. It's a little bit quick knee-jerk reactive to me when you've seen a guy like Waller, go crazy. So Njoku could go crazy for a game or 2 or 3 or whatever. But the odds of a 29-year-old guy with an injury history coming in and getting so much volume and not breaking so much volume that it takes away from Gadsden, you're going to see multiple tight end sets. You're going to see reasons for why Njoku exists. And not to mention running multiple tight end sets up the run, and Miami Mike wants to run, or Malibu Mike wants to run the ball. So we're going to see a lot of, I think, 2 tight end sets, a lot of creativity. McDaniel's a scheme artist, a absolute magic architect when it comes to constructing offense, and Njoku might be there for different reasons than to take Gadsden's job away. So people need to be very, very careful. And if I had to say one over the other, of course I'm picking Gadsden over Njoku. Even if it seemed cloudy at first, it'll get worked out. And the injury likelihood of Njoku over Gadsden being his 29 is a lot higher. I don't know why everyone's panicking on Gadsden, which is great, though. I love it. It's fantastic because his ADP falls to the 11th or 12th round. I'm all in on underdog, promo code Smitty. All in, link in the description because I'm cuffing the two together like crazy. It's glorious. It's fantastic. It's one of the blessings of the day. everyone freaking out. I'm excited. I look at things like this as an opportunity. Even when, and I'm not saying this necessarily worked out, but you gotta look at things like, or no, let me put it this way. Let me not go in a negative direction. Let me go in a positive direction. You look at the Jeremiah Love going to Arizona. Jeremiah Love was going in the 11, 9, 10, 12 ADP territory prior to the landing spot being dished out in AZ. And then all of a sudden, Jeremiah Love, he goes to Arizona and he falls all the way down, not to the bottom of 2, but sometimes the top of 3 and bottom of 2. He's starting to rise a little bit more, but for a good couple days, he was at 3.1, 3.2 on Underdog. And Underdog even started him. They kind of launched him into the 36 overall, or no, 32, I think. 32, 31 overall spot. And so they put him right in the middle of the third round, and then he did climb on his own right to about the top of 3. But this is like a blessing in disguise. This is one of those things where I say if there's a button in front of me and you could press the button and undo his landing spot and send Jeremiah Love to Tennessee, I wouldn't press it. Because if you did, then he cost a 1-2 turn pick. And I don't think the landing spot's going to diminish any part of his upside. So give me the perceived bad landing spot without pressing the button, keep him in AZ, and let me keep killing the 2-3 turn with Jeremiah Love in there. That's what I'm talking about. Like a blessing in disguise. You need to look at things differently. Everybody just looking at things from a glass half empty perspective, not closing the door, taking a deep breath, opening the door back up and looking at the landscape differently. You got to look at it differently. What's the ADP look like? If somebody falls or rises in ADP value, you got to relook at things. This goes for good and bad. Like if DK Metcalf, who Aaron Rodgers was supposed to come back and then now we don't know, his ADP might have climbed because Aaron Rodgers was coming back. You got to go outside, close the door, take a deep breath, open it up. And if DK's sitting here at the top of round number 5, then it's a different DK Metcalf. You can't just keep drafting him because you liked him. Like everything's different. Now that Aaron Rodgers is not coming back, the deflated balloon syndrome might take effect. And he was going DK at the top of 7, mid-7. He might fall to the bottom of 7 now. And now he's even if you didn't love him, you might love him now. You need to take a look at that. And Joseph with the $20 super chat. Joseph, you get to be put on, young man, if you so choose, either the Manungai video or the quadruple J, or if you want the Triple H, I'll throw you on there. You decide for me, and I will make that happen. His super chat says, Dynasty playoff team, but want to win now, though. Should I bundle a trade to keep my bundle a trade with my 1.8 pick? Or keep it. My guys are Mahomes, Rice, Buka, Javonte, Kyron, MHJ, Manungai, Likely, Goddard, Parkinson, and Godwin and Shaheed. Yeah, looking at your squad, I'd probably say love the receivers, love your quarterback in Dynasty. Receivers are off the hook. You're going to be able to win with Javonte, Kyron, Corum, but I still am, and I keep Manungai and trade Swift if I can. I'm trying to trade Swift and MHJ to get one huge wide receiver upgrade. I'm trying to trade Swift and Kyron and Corum for some sort of running back upgrade. MHJ, Corum, and Kyron for a huge upgrade. One running back or wide receiver, but probably a running back because you'd be down a running back unless you want to run with Manungai and Javonte, which I could do depending on if you can start an extra wide receiver. But I would probably say I keep going through those combinations. And while I like Javonte a lot, I'm always looking to upgrade. So if Javonte and MHJ could go get one of those big monster RBs, I'm all about that. You could also do a 2-for-2 where it's like MHJ and Blake Corum Kyron or MHJ and Javonte, and you go after an undervalued asset like Ibuka, and then you can maybe go grab a running back that you feel you can be quote unquote upgrading. Or even if you were to go after, let's say, BTJ for MHJ, and that seems like a downgrade to some people, or you figure out a way to get into a Jordan Tyson using MHJ, whatever. Try and see if you can upgrade Javonte or Blake Corum and Kyron into a slightly better, even if it's perceived better for you and not them, running back swap. So like 2-for-2s will work good. But in general, I am usually the kind of person that's trying to take a Kyron and Corum with MHA to get one big, huge monster. I'm trying to buy JJ on the cheap in Dynasty. I'm trying to buy Buka on cheap in the Dynasty. I'm trying to buy Hendy on the cheap in Dynasty. I'm trying to buy Bowers because I love him. I'm trying to buy Jeremiah Love now that everybody's freaking out. Maybe you can couple this 1.8 and Javonte or Swift and MHJ and go get Love, something like that. Genty is somebody that people are freaking out about to some degree. I definitely like buying Genty as cheap as I can. Those would be all maneuvers. Yeah, H-Chan's a good buy low. H-Chan's a real good buy low. What's up, Travis? You're live. Thank you, Joseph, for the super chat.
So I was just going to ask you, someone was in the chat, I thought it was a good question. They're in a 1 QB, and they need a QB. They have Kyler and Jacoby Brissett are the 2 QBs, so they could use an upgrade. You would trade the 1.06 for Josh Allen, obviously, right?
In a Superflex?
No, 1 QB.
1 QB, the 1.6 rookie pick?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, I'd give up the 1.2, 1.3.
Okay.
1.4.
How high would you go with draft picks?
I give all 3 of those for Josh Allen. I love Tyson. I love Tate. I love Jadarian Price. Josh Allen in a dynasty is crazy. 1.6 doesn't even get you in the door. Right. That's his idea. I highly doubt someone's offering that. That would be.
I don't know. Yeah, let us know in the chat if someone's offering it, go and do it. Quick.
Yeah, that ain't happening. Let me put real quickly. Let me put this Menungai video up because Joseph wants to be on that video.
Damn, I love what you do to me.
92.5.
And that was some smooth jazz you've been listening to here on KMNG Kabanungai Radio. This next song goes out to Denny. It's called Hold My Tutty nice and strong. KMNG Smooth Jazz Radio.
Tutty, buddy. How many tutties, buddy? Are you gonna score all of the tutty, buddy? Menungai is so strong.
Menungai is going to explode. Thank you for dropping the $20 super chat. Appreciate you very much. What else was I going to say about... Josh Allen. If anybody's trading... Like, if you could trade the 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, any of those picks with something else to get Josh Allen, I'd do that in a heartbeat. 1.6... For me, the valuation on that would have to be like the 1.6, like my expectation, I guess. I would never trade Josh Allen for the 1.6 and anything unless it was something that, like the 1.6 doesn't even do anything for me. I'd almost say that's barely even getting you like an extra advantage at all. So like it would have to be, the other part of the trade would have to almost by itself get Josh Allen. So 1.6, and it would literally have to be Igbuka or something along those lines where I'm getting somebody that you would actually draft ahead of Josh Allen, or where I would need something that's more valuable than the market value. Because as I always tell everybody, the reason why you can double check and guarantee that quarterbacks are undervalued on draft day is when you look at the you look at the ADP. Let me just get rid of everybody on the screen here. You look at Josh Allen, he's going in the 3rd round. As soon as the draft is over, or let's say in week 2 or week 4, you go to the Josh Allen owner, you could offer him almost every single player in the 2nd round, and they're going to tell you no.
Right.
So, meaning he's worth more than almost, that's why he's actually worth this 1-2 turn value. You draft somebody like Javonte in round 4, and you try and trade Javonte after week 1, unless he's like balling out at that moment, people are going to act like he's a 5th or 6th. Like there's certain players that you drive them off the lot for good or bad, for right or wrong, and they lose value, or they gain no more value, or they stay stagnant. Josh Allen, you drive him off the lot, and unlike a vehicle, he's worth $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 the moment you drive him off the lot. And that's proof in the pudding that people are totally brainwashed in the industry to think that drafting a quarterback early is bad. They're brainwashed. Josh Allen back in the day in the early 2000s or 90s would go 1.1 in a 1 QB.
Yeah.
He'd go 1.1. And I'm not saying you do that. We had, again, I think Josh Allen went in the first round in one of the drafts that everybody's talking about in the chat. It's a follower Dynasty League that a few guys set up. And he went in the first round. And you just can't do that because it's not the market value. But he deserves it. Like, you're going to get that value, but unfortunately you're not hitting the win a league home run from the third round value. You get him at the end of 2, you're still kind of in Dynasty. It's like a win a Dynasty move. But first round, you're getting no value there. He deserves and commands round 1 value. You should never, ever, ever, ever in a 1 QB Dynasty redraft, ever in a 1 QB take Josh Allen in round 1 because you can get him in round 2. Like almost every time. And you could say, well, I'm drafting at the top of 2 or the middle of 2. And in your league, Smitty, everybody loves Josh Allen. There's no way he's falling to my pick. So because I have the third rounder or whatever. So if I have like close, bookend picks, I have to take them. Well, if you're going to do that, at least do it in the second round. If you're going to do that, let's say you're taking them at 13 or 14 in a dynasty. I don't hate it. You're not making a grave mistake, but you can't take him in 1. If someone takes him before your second round pick, so be it. That's part of the allure of waiting, and then another player gets bumped down that has no business being available when you're on the clock in the second round. That's why you got to take value. When people say, well, I didn't want to miss out on it, that is you overreacting, overthinking the situation. You need to realize that someone's going to fall that shouldn't fall if somebody takes somebody they shouldn't take above you. That's how it works.
So in a 1 QB, say you have one of those top 3 to 5 guys that's not Allen, whether it's Mahomes or May or Burrow, Lamar, something like that. But you have the opportunity to get an Allen. Do you still go for Allen and then try to flip the other QB, or do you just stand pat with what you have? Like what
in a 1 QB,
yeah.
is so hard to trade a quarterback because there's only 12 people in a league, whatever the size is, and everyone's got quarterbacks. Because there's way more than 12 viable quarterbacks. So somebody's sitting there with Baker. Right. Like if Hammer's got Baker and Hammer loves Baker, and you're like, I'll give you Josh Allen or I'll give you May. Not May because he doesn't. I'll give you JD5. He might pique his interest because he loves JD5, but he's got Baker. So like, what's he do with that? He can't send you Baker back so that you take a discount off of what you're. He's gonna be like, I don't really. You're gonna be like, I don't need Baker. I got Josh Allen, so I'm not gonna give you a discount on the return based on you giving me Baker back. So he's not going to gain as much value in the trade either. So like, it's hard. It's really hard to trade. It depends on what you're giving up. It also depends on, I would just recommend getting another trade lined up and executing them both at the same time, which is hard. But I mean, it depends. Like, give me a scenario. Let's say I've got Josh Allen and someone's offering me Drake May. Tell me the scenario and I'll keep throwing names at me and I'll tell you where it's worth the gamble. I got Allen.
Let's see.
1 QB. And you're offering me May.
So I was asking the other way around because I was kind of assuming like Allen might be the only guy that you want to upgrade with, but
okay, so you're
talking about trading it.
Okay, so you have Drake May already, and you're offering me Josh Allen, and then I've got to worry about that dilemma later. Like, what are you asking for?
So I'm asking. So say what I'm saying is like you have Drake May.
I know, but what's the player you're asking for? Because I'll tell you whether it's worth the gamble. So if you go through a gauntlet of names, I'll tell you, yes, I would take the gamble that I got to move one of them to get rid of that player. So give me the player I'm getting rid of to get Josh Allen.
All right, let's see. Go realist. James Cook. We'll start high.
Can't do it because like, how are you like? That's such a massive loss to your lineup. What I try and do is organize a double trade, but giving up a top like 15 overall player is going to be really, really hard. And keep in mind that James Cook, has way more value than Josh Allen in a 1 QB. So I can't even do that fair market wise. Like it'd have to be somebody you're drafting
Right.
Josh Allen in the top of 3. It'd have to be names that are around that territory for this even to be a conversation.
Well, so what if it's like in that guy's situation? I know he needs a quarterback, but say if he had May, but he could get Allen if he gives up the 1.6 and Chris Olave.
I'd take Josh Allen and I'd figure it out on that
Okay.
in that sense because Chris Olave to me, while I love him, I can replace him. I'll figure out something, even if it took me a year or whatever. I would figure out a way to make that make more sense. And I want Josh Allen anyway over Drake May. So it's worth it to me. I'm upgrading my lineup there. I'm losing on Olave, but I think I could easily trade May for a receiver that I love that I can get the most out of that. Or if I was to trade it into picks later. I mean, that's the one thing too is like you go to somebody and you give them May for a couple first rounders. They might do that.
Right. How about like Nico?
Nope. Nico's I think just a little too valuable to me. If I already have Drake May, can't.
Right. ETN.
Depends on my running back room, but I certainly think I'd rather have Josh Allen than ETN overall, and I'd figure out something. I think I give me a whole offseason and I will turn Allen and the player I get into something better than May and ETN.
Okay, Buka.
I'd rather have Buka than Josh Allen if I already have Drake May at a 1 QB.
Okay, so basically it's like if a guy's in the first 2 rounds, you're probably not giving him up unless it's a
you just can't, yeah, because you probably draft those players anyway over Josh Allen.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you end up with Drake May later, and you got that's kind of going back to what I was saying is that apples to apples. If I'm drafting Josh Allen, whether it's dynasty or redraft, and there's a player like Igbuka or there's a player like and I think I did even use Nico in the redraft sense. Those players, when I'm on the clock, I take those players and Burrow later. I take those players in JD5 later. I take those players in May later. But if you start getting into the Tet McMillan territory, I'd rather have Josh Allen by a landslide and then take a BTJ, or even if you were to say like DK Metcalf in Dynasty with Josh Allen over Tet McMillan and a Caleb or something along those lines. I take Josh Allen every single time in that scenario. So you got to almost reverse engineer that and say, if I had Drake May, I'm even less likely to do it because I've already got a quarterback, and I can't get rid of him yet, but it'd have to still fall in line with those players. So you're talking Tet McMillans, you're talking ETN and Dynasty, not a spring chicken. So I think I probably would take that Josh Allen value and figure something out, but 100% going to fall along the same lines.
All right, yeah, that makes sense.
Let's see if I got any other super chats. We'll be back at midnight too, and then we'll be back on the Dynasty channel as well. Anybody else have a call or want to call? And anybody else have a question? Super chat, anything? Drop it.
Call into the show.
Travis, what else you got before we get out of here? Denny, where's Denny? Thanks, BBQ.
So I think this is a no-brainer for you too. You trade London and get Genty and Buka. Someone was asking in the chat.
Trade London for Genty, and I mean, Genty's worth more than London.
Right.
Yeah. Genty and Buka. He forgot to type something. I mean, honestly,
He said trade London for Genty and Buka in Dynasty, or do I need more for London?
Come on, bro.
I just figured I'd touch on it.
Not you, bro.
No,
and come on, bro.
Yeah. No, I know.
I mean, bro, whoever's asking that, London and Buka are arguably equal in Dynasty. And Genty's worth. If you could offer me Buka and London for Genty, I could see taking that if I was in the right situation for sure. But I could also say I can't do that. I'd rather have Genty. Like, what do we do?
It highlights, the ability to go get players that there's uncertainty for people around.
Yeah,
because while we don't worry about a Genti or a Buka, people do, and not rightfully so in my opinion, but it just shows there's people out there who, I still see people saying they don't think Genti's that good, and they doubt Genti, and they think the Raiders stink, and Baker's not any good anymore, so Buka's not going to be any good, and they drafted Ted Hurst, and you see all these narratives out there.
Yeah. All right. Travis, anything else? We'll be back at midnight.
Nope. See you then. Thanks, Smitty.
Appreciate it. Later, bro. All right, guys, we're out of here. BBQ, thank you. Landman, appreciate you dropping the 20 watt. Where's Landman at? Landman, you haven't called in a bit. You got anything you want to add real quick? Anything you want to add to this situation? Landman, how you feeling about Herbie? How you feeling about Josh Allen? How you feeling about Coleman? How you feeling about the quadruple J?
Quadruple J and Consultants.
Did you make a mess on the field? Don't fret. Call the cleanup crew. Call Quadruple J and Consultants.
Locations on Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter.
To Jupiter.
Quadruple J, quintuple J. Quintuple J. See, Genti, he owns the consultant company. So if he has to step in, and he's kind of like, sitting back, I never have been everybody else do the work, but like if someone steps out of line and he needs to jump in, then Quadruple J remains because Genti's in the mix. Vader, what's going on? Denny, where are you, Denny? Where are you, Denny? How come you don't call in anymore, Denny? How come we don't hear from you, Denny? All right, we'll see you all at midnight Eastern. Appreciate every single one of you. Don't forget, we had a Tyson video drop on the channel. Go watch that if you missed it. We had a 3 a.m. Njoku signing live stream. We've had this live stream, and then we have a midnight show tonight on the main channel here, and then we're back on the Dynasty channel a little bit after midnight. And we just keep churning out the content. Appreciate everybody. Simi Valley in the building over on the Rumble. Appreciate you, Simi. We're going to do the Ted McMillan Dynasty show tonight on behalf of your super chat that you dropped at the end of last night's show. So thanks to Simi, the show will kick off at 15 minutes, and we'll be talking about that. All right. We'll see you all later. Appreciate every single one of you. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's what this show is right here. Live additionally whenever big news breaks, and live at midnight Eastern almost every single night. See you all at midnight Eastern. Later, Husseini. Thank you for the super chats. Buzz, Cody, BBQ. Trust, thank you for the super chat the other night. I don't know if Trust is still watching. Trust, I appreciate you. BBQ, Ryder, Joseph, Land a Man, Midnight, see you tonight. Joseph, I really appreciate that 20. Deuce. Don't forget to get on over to TheFantasyFootballShow.com. Year-round rankings, bold predictions, trade calculators, cross-position, trade value charts on every player page, stock market, bold predictions, draft simulator, lineup calculator, as I said, trade calculator, bold predictions, every ranking you can think of, redraft, dynasty, superflex, super rookie, dynasty superflex, ADP, Smitty versus ADP rankings, upside board rankings, caution board rankings, everything you can think of. This is just an unbelievable amount of information. And then, of course, the Patreon, 24/7, 365 live chatting. Those links are all in the description of the video, but I'll drop them on the way out the door. I'll drop the Patreon link and then the TheFantasyFootballShow.com link. And then I'll drop, as the third link, will be the Underdog promo code Smitty link, so you can draft tonight with us on Underdog. We'll be drafting using, I don't know, a specific strategy we'll go over on the show. So get ready for that. So here is the Patreon link. This is the Fantasy Football Show TheFantasyFootballShow.com link, the content, year-round content. And then here is the Underdog promo code Smitty, which I believe is pinned in the live chat as well. See you all tonight at midnight Eastern. Thank you, Ward K, for upgrading his membership to priority comments. Awesome, my boy. Make sure you leave comments. I'll do my best. I get back to those comments more than, because I can't get to everything. So I do sort by that priority comments. So thank you, Ward. Appreciate you. Appreciate the support, my guy. Let's send you to the moon for that.
To the moon.
Brought to you by uballshop.com.
Deuce!